Alright, so we're making episode 9 today, and this time I want to talk about something that will almost certainly confuse anyone visiting a Japanese home for the first time. Of course, you basically never see a Japanese household where it's "please come in with your shoes on." What I mean is, in Japan you absolutely take off your shoes at the entrance before going inside. Outside Japan there are plenty of homes where wearing shoes indoors is totally fine, right? In Japan, it's almost always a no. There are several theories about why, because of tatami, because of humidity, all the usual explanations. Once you hear it, it's the kind of well-of-course answer that's So today's topic is shoe removing culture, and I figure most foreigners get pretty confused. What are the actual reactions you've come across?
Yes, looking at experiences shared by visitors to Japan, a lot of people seem to get thrown off right at the entrance. Things like, do I take them off here? Can I wear the slippers? Or stepping up without realizing and going, oh! And as for the commonly cited reasons for the shoe-off culture, there's the tatami, the humidity, the sense of cleanliness.
Yeah, that's the textbook take. But I've actually heard a more fundamental reason.
Oh, can I hear it?
Back in the day, regular Japanese basically wore Waraji, straw sandals, barefoot.
Barefoot, in Waraji.
Right. Zori and Geta were already kinda leaning toward the upper classes, I'd say. And tabi socks, those were even higher up. Probably samurai families and wealthy merchants. Tabi weren't cheap after all.
So footwear varied by social standing.
Yeah. And I think samurai in the Edo period had to wear tabi when entering the castle. It's like today, isn't it? There are dress code dinners with set requirements, right? Probably it was a similar kind of formal etiquette.
So footwear functioned as a visualization of social standing.
And in the Kamakura or Muromachi periods, I don't think tabi were that widespread yet. What's interesting is that in Nobunaga's era, Western traders started arriving in Japan.
That's when contact with the West really began.
So maybe Nobunaga was the first to try something tabi-like. Laughs.
Heh, that would be very Nobunaga of him.
And for merchants, tabi might have carried this sign of having made it kind of vibe, you know?
Maybe it had become a status symbol.
Right. The whole footwear equals visualization of standing structure was probably easier when you had it that way.
Reading someone's class from a single piece of footwear, that's so different from how we see things now.
Well, it was a samurai-led society, so that strict vertical class structure had probably taken full shape. Now here's the actual heart of it. Or rather, getting back to why we started taking footwear off in the first place.
Yes.
Common folks. Feet were basically bare with waraji on top.
Right.
Their toes were touching dirt every single day as they walked. After walking around all day, what do you think their feet looked like?
Caked in dirt, right?
Right, filthy. And when they got home, could they just walk straight inside? No way.
True. Hygienically, that would be tough.
And here's where it gets important. The doma.
The earthen floor section near the entrance, right?
Right. The thing is, the doma was actually right next to the kitchen, apparently, like attached.
Oh, really?
And kitchens use water, right? So I think water was drawn from the kitchen's water jar, the mizugame, to rinse feet right there in the doma. When you got home, you'd take off your waraji in the doma, rinse your feet in a water bucket, and then step up at the agarikamachi to enter the house. Actually, I've performed scenes that depict this exact thing in period dramas. And at inns, there was even a job called gisokuban, a footwear attendant who looked after guests, shoes, and brought water. I read about it in a book.
So in other words, at the entrance, you'd take off footwear, wash your feet, and then go up into the house.
Right. So the real reason behind taking shoes off at the entrance is, I think, that feet were dirty.
Then the textbook explanations, like cleanliness and tatami, sound more like later interpretations.
Exactly. Culture often comes from practical needs first, I'd say.
And the step at the agarikamachi was the cleanliness boundary itself.
Right? Not for class, not for ceremony, but first and foremost because feet were dirty.
It's a really down-to-earth perspective.
Yeah, I don't think you can grasp the cultural reasoning without knowing the foot-level reality of the Waraji era. Now I want to compare with how things go overseas.
Right. In the West, leather shoes and boots spread quite early, so feet were apparently kept relatively clean.
If your feet are protected by shoes, walking inside with them on isn't really a problem.
That background is part of why shoes on indoors culture took root, they say.
And here I almost said, that's so Japanese again.
Heh, are you correcting yourself again?
Yeah, Korea and parts of Southeast Asia have shoe-off cultures too.
Right, shoe-off culture is widely distributed across East and Southeast Asia. And in Middle Eastern mosques, footwear is removed too. Religious and cultural shoe-off practices are actually quite universal.
I see. Regions with similar foot-level realities tend to land on similar habits, maybe.
It does seem so.
And then in modern times, even after Japanese started wearing real shoes and feet stayed clean.
The habit alone stayed.
Right, the action shifted from washing feet to taking shoes off, but the gesture remains.
When the practical reason fades but the form remains, that's such an interesting thing about culture.
Most modern homes don't have water buckets, and most don't have a doma at all anymore.
Entrance areas keep getting smaller, especially in apartments.
And yet, the feeling of taking your shoes off at the entrance is so deeply baked in. Strange, isn't it? Alright, so today we've been talking about Japan's shoe-removing culture. Aoi, what did you think?
It was fascinating. I'd read up on the literature about why we take shoes off, but hearing the lived reality is really different.
Yeah, I thought so. Unless you've actually worn Waraji yourself, you wouldn't know your toes literally stick out from them. So this kind of perspective probably doesn't even come up.
True. You just think Waraji equals the older version of modern shoes.
Right? They're woven from straw and tied to the foot, with the heel built up to be protected too. By the way, didn't other countries have footwear like this?
I'm sure they did, but I think leather shoes and boots spread there earlier, and the architecture is different too.
Ah, that's it. Even today, Japanese architecture always builds in the entrance area structurally.
Right? And once that's the everyday norm, the practice of taking off shoes is bound to keep going.
So basically, a habit handed down from our ancestors is still alive today. Now, with the previous 2 episodes, we've been exploring everyday life in Japan. What did you think? There are quite a few differences, so when you visit Japan, it might take some getting used to. But I hope you can enjoy those differences. Even when written in Japanese, some words shift in nuance once translated, but I think that's part of the fun too. So I hope you'll keep enjoying the ride with us. Alright, thanks so much for watching to the end. See you next time.
Thank you so much.